kung ang tinitingnan most guilty itong si former President Rodrigo Duterte, when it comes to prosecuting this case, pwede ba namang siya lang? Di ba dapat tingnan din kung sino yung actual na nag-implement base sa pulisiyang kanyang binuo. Tama?
Correct. Oo, sabi nga namin hindi pwedeng siya lang kasi parang the other side of the coin is Bato de la Rosa. Kung siya nga in fact nag-isip ng Tokhang. Ngayon, ito rin. Paano kung wala yung nag-issue or nag-give out ng pera?
Mm.
Hindi, wala rin. Pwedeng sabi ni Bato, sabi ko, ganitong gawin inutusan ko lang sila. So, lahat sila, to some extent, magiging most responsible kasi you cannot have one without the other. So, yung ultimo na, kumbaga, pag-absent, hindi matutuloy ang gala or hindi matutuloy yung project, yun yung key. Kaya yung mga mema lang, sa group project, di ba, baka hindi makasali. Pero yung kailangan mo na yung part niya, important. Di ba? Kung may mga nanonood na estudyante, so may thesis kayo, yung part na isusulat, yung conclusion, absent, hindi umattend, wala kayong thesis. Kaya kung sino yung bumuo ng buong kapapelan, importante. Yung kunyari, magfo-footnote lang, yung mag-check ng footnotes. Okay lang yan, i-check lang naman yung footnotes. O kaya mag-attach ng, magpiprint ng annex or ano ba, magpapakain sa grupo.
Magpapatawa. Huwag makalimutan yung nagpapatawa sa
magpapatawa,
grupo.
Manggigising, ganyan. Medyo baka hindi kasama sa eksena, pero yung nagsulat, nagpatupad, yung magpre-present sa teacher ng thesis, importante yan. Kaya involved sila. Ganon din sa kaso ng crimes against humanity. Kung ang may utos, si Duterte, pero sinong nag-implement, sinong nag-isip ng details, kasama din yan. Sino yung nag-issue ng, or naglabas ng pera, masasama din yan. So, exciting actually na makita kasi sabi nga namin, kakaiba to kasi sa ibang bansa, yung usual na kaso, yung parang may military chain. At sa military, utos, utos, utos. Yung mga nasa baba, hindi na alam bakit ginagawa to. Kumbaga, di ba, what you see, what you hear, it stays here, parang gano'n. Pero dito sa kaso sa Pilipinas, talagang civilian orders At hindi to simpleng, gawin nyo to, walang magsasalita, walang magtatanong. Dito, lahat sila. Alam nyo, pwedeng ganito. What if ganito? So, may input sila. Tapos, rolling nag-iiba. Kaya, nag-iiba yung itsura. Pero meron kang on top of things na parang siya yung magsusuhay. Kaya, yung role ng iba pa, tingnan natin kung ano pa yung ma-reveal sa mga susunod na kabanata.
Itong pahayag ni VP Sara dun sa media interview niya sa Cebu, sabi niya, I'm on the list. There are many of us on the list. And I know this because when I arrived there, I was surprised that initially I could visit every day, but then they stopped it. Afterward, they started recording our conversations with President Rodrigo Duterte. Unang-una, may connection ba to dun sa pagkakasama niya sa listahan? Itong ganitong scenario kung totoo man. And are the conversations really recorded pag bumibisita sa isang nakadetain?
Well, they could be recorded, especially if hindi klaro na parang this should be a private conversation. You always have to invoke na this is a private conversation. The automatic invocation comes only if counsel is talking to you. It's always private. Pero pag family visits, because the area generally is recorded, or may mga CCTV, etc., then yeah, may expectation, walang expectation of privacy, to be clear. There is a particular place na kasi pwedeng mag-family visit, conjugal visit. There's a particular place na parang can we go there, etc. Pwede, pero you really have to invoke it. So, medyo napaisip din ako kasi for her to know that it's being recorded means that she was told that it will be recorded. And I think it's standard practice. Kailangan pang busisiin kasi malay natin yung first visits niya, hindi niya lang alam or hindi lang siya aware, pero recorded talaga yon. Because she was coming there as family, not as
Mm.
counsel. Yun yung na-realize ko na critical fact. Kaya nung simulat sa poll ba, ang abogado ko, yung anak ko na babae.
Lagi yung
Di ba?
sinasabi.
Huli pa lang. Kasi counsel really enjoys, should enjoy privacy in communications to his or her client.
Pero
Pero again,
hindi siya
siya,
nakalista as a counsel, di ba? Ni Duterte, definitely.
sasabit siya.
Nakalista ba
Na,
siya?
hindi, sasabit siya pag ganyan ng argument kasi the vice president constitutionally
Yes.
cannot
Oo.
practice.
Oo.
Oh,
Pero may claim dyan eh. May iba ko nakausap dyan eh. Baka raw may lusot eh. Dahil you're trying to practice outside Philippine jurisdiction. Pwede ba lusot yun?
hindi rin Kasi you're practicing as a lawyer. Ay tapos yung pa, it was being invoked in the Philippines, yung unang-una. Ang
Oo.
abogado, ganon. Kaya, that's untenable. Kasi, pwedeng lusot on a technicality. Pero, ang ano ko, weird yun. Ano ka ba talaga? Kamag-anak o abogado? And that is precisely why in our code or code of ethics, yung code of professional responsibility and accountability, frowned upon yung representation of relatives. Kasi you're too invested, and in some cases, there could be conflict of interest. And from what I see in this case, it's more of conflict of interest. You are also involved.
Mm-mm.
Kaya hindi yung issue na parang nire-record sila, it could also come to a point na parang, why are these two co-conspirators
Talking.
talking about a case, di ba? So, yun yung iiwasan ng ICC. In fact, they're very strict in detention facility. Sinisilip ko nga, pwede ba siyang makausap ng media? Pwede ba siyang makausap ng co-conspirators? Duterte has to come up with a list of people that he wants to call. Pag hindi nakalista doon, hindi papayagan. So, they're kind of strict about that para hindi matuloy yung atrocities or kung ano pang kaganapan habang nakakulong.
Or
Kasi,
hindi rin sila pwede mag-compare notes.
na parang, anong defense mo? Yung
Oo.
abogado niya yung pwede, pero yung individuals, and then second, the added layer dyan, yung pagpapatakas. So, posibleng mag-uusap patakas tong mga to. So, pwedeng mag-usap, pero again, medyo may limitations and restrictions. The facility is really, ano ba, maraming mata sa facility na yan.
Okay. Finally, Attorney Chrissy, no? Sa September 23 pa, di ba yung susunod na hearing? So, ano yung mga aasahan between now and September 23?
Dami. So, sa defense, magdi-disclosure of evidence sila and the prosecution as well. We're looking at a possible July date issuance nitong document containing the charges. So dito na yung ano ba talagang kaso. Before July, so lumiliit yung period, di ba? So parang akala natin September bubusin. Hindi. July thereabouts, meron na ng document containing the charges. So between now and July, may lalabas na dyan ng mga disclosure ng evidence.
Mm-mm.
Now, it's just the number of people, yung preliminary. Pero soon enough, it could also be disclosure of names or content that they will give. Na parang, this witness will talk about the killings. He's a co-conspirator. So, kahit description lang, pwede.
Para makasagot naman yung defense.
Oo, kailangan matalino. Intelligently, you can mount a defense. Hindi pwedeng, sabi ko nga, pag kunyari may reklamo sa'yo, kahit na hindi mo alam yung pangalan. Kaya naman importante yung pangalan para ma-identify, ito yung kakampi ko na dating ganito, ganyan. Dito, ang sasabihin sa'yo, we will present a person na dating kakampi na ang sasabihin ay patungkol sa kung paano naganap ang patayan.
Hindi yung eksakto.
Hindi yung eksaktong pangalan. Pero pwede din, actually. Depende yan sa, may hangganan Wag naman yung para mahuhula yung defense. And on another note, the names could be disclosed to the defense, but not to us, not to the public. Pwedeng may redactions. So as dalawa ang magkakatinginan yan. Yung victims, especially, medyo labas dyan, we could be given some information. Pero again, ang pagkakaabalahan ng victims, in general, yung participating victims, would be registration or application to be recognized in the case.
Ang next question dyan, ay lahat ba ng mga biktima, ay yung mga testigo na yon secured na ba sila? Safe na ba sila? Kasi paano kung, di ba, alam natin, possibility yan, di ba?
Well, I hope so. Mas yun ang ano ko, kasi ang hirap ding magsalita for all witnesses. Pero as far as I know, there are several witnesses already sheltered, availing of some form of witness protection. So
Pwede ba dyan, attorney, yung parang deposition, yung okay na yan, hindi ko na kailangang humarap?
Pwede, pero may mga applications. So again, ang primary ay dapat in person kang haharap. Yung deposition kasi, parang ang gagawin sa'yo, parang written interrogatories. Pwede bang sulat na lang? Kaya parang bihirang gamitin. Kaya ang parang default or parang yung medyo in between ay magte-testify ka live through a video.
Oo.
Pwede hindi live through a video. So yun yung ano. Pero dapat may opportunity to cross-examine you. Yun yung laging importante. Medyo test yon kung nagsasabi ka talaga ng totoo. Pag kunyari, gulo-gulo ka na, yun yung importante sa cross-examination.
Ito ba yung isa kong tanong kasi breakthrough yung testimony ni Ruyina Garma kay dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte. Diba? Siya nag-establish ng connection as far as we know for the first time publicly. Pero wala siya ngayon. Nasa Amerika siya eh. So, pwede bang gamitin ng ICC yung kanyang testimony sa Philippine Congress? Yun na lang yung pagbasihan? Or does she have to issue an affidavit, whatever, or actually testify before the ICC?
Well, the statements that she made before the Quadcom could be taken as proof that she said it. Sinabi ko yan, or sinabi niya yan. Pero in a sense, hearsay, pwedeng sabihin, narinig ko, ito yung sinabi niya. Pero kung totoo yung sinabi niya, that's an entirely different thing. On another hand, meron din siyang in-execute na affidavit. Binanggit yun sa Quadcom, di ba?
Yeah.
So meron daw siyang in-execute na affidavit. Yung isa binasa niya, pero parang may isa pa. So, yun ang pakaabangan kung natanggap na ba ito ng ICC, na-review na ba nila. And for all we know, nagkausap na yung ICC at saka si Ruyina Garma. Ano ba latest? Parang ang nakita ko online, nagsalita yata yung abogado niya na nag-a-apply ng asylum. Pero a few days ago, hindi natin alam kung anong development. Kaya abang-abang, baka biglang surprise, andun na pala siya.
Pero pwede ba yun? Kunwari wala siya physically sa ICC, pero mag-testify siya from the United States via video, pwede ba yun?
Pwede sana, parang depende yan kung paano mo i-argue na imposibleng makarating ako. Pero
ikaw nag-apply siya ng asylum ba't siya alis, di ba?
Oo, pero ang problema, US. The US does not want to cooperate with the ICC. So medyo political ang problem than logistical. So hindi ko alam kung paano paparaanan yun kung nasa US custody siya na talagang gung-ho at galit na galit. In fact, yung sanctions, klaro kay Karim Khan, he cannot go to the United States of America.
He cannot.
He cannot. Parang siya yung target niyan And actually, parang ICC investigators cannot go. Pero sabi nga namin, paano nila nalalaman kung sinong ICC investigator o hindi? So, medyo...
Wala namang badge yun na pagpunta mo.
Oo, sabihin, mag-aano ko, titingnan ko yung Niagara Falls or titingnan ko yung Washington Memorial. So, ang hirap din. Pero at least policy decision yun ng ICC. Klarong-klaro, Karim Khan is a target. Tatargetin nga dapat siya ng Senado. Meron silang bill. Hindi pa nakakapasa. Pero may EO sa ICC. Ito yung dati sinasabi ni Bato, protection ko to. Pero hindi siya, he's a little bit mistaken. It does not actually kind of protect him or target ICC officials with the exception of Karim Khan na hindi makakapunta sa US. Mas ganun lang.